We are live, John.
Okay. I figured I'd wait just a sec as some people trickle in. Looks like the participants are going up.
Yeah, those of us that decided to have their lunch break with us.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Hope you can hear me okay. I'll go ahead and get started because we have such a short time frame and window. But my name is John Cooper, and I am the construction lead at HoganTaylor. HoganTaylor, CPA firm headquartered in Tulsa with offices across a couple places in Arkansas and Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Little Rock, Fayetteville. So we serve various clients across select regions, including large general contractors and specialty subcontractors. Wanted to introduce you to ProNovos today. ProNovos is a group that we partnered with 3 years ago as we saw a need for the industry to embrace technology. And a lot of our clients were using rudimentary job review practices, a monthly basis of bringing the PM in and saying, how's this job going? How's this project? And it was only as good as the information that they were getting from the field. And ProNovos has a product that we think is very beneficial to all of our clients and non-clients. And they've been a wonderful partner to work with as they welcome feedback. We meet with them on at least an annual basis just to talk about what's going on in the industry and how the product can be changed or manipulated based on what we're seeing and what their clients need for job performance, project billings, cash flow projections, and collections. So now I'll turn it over to Bobby for his part of the presentation. Feel free to ask questions also.
Yep. So howdy, everybody. My name is Bobby Gonzales. Shaved today, so I look a little bit younger, hopefully. But I do have 17 years construction experience from being out in the field, off to college, back kind of in the field, project management, and then vice president of operations. And so construction-wise, I feel like I'm a good, well-rounded, and I've been with ProNovos now coming up on 6 months, and was actually a user of ProNovos, and at my previous firm. And so, what is it that we do? Well, we're able to provide value to all levels of the construction firm, from executives and automating the WIP, which I know, for everyone, the WIP is probably the most important. And now if we can automate this and get this really done via project reviews on a, monthly basis, or even biweekly if you wanted, it becomes very, very beneficial, as well as project managers on their forecasting to help with that. And all of their forecasting goes into that automated WIP, and accounting, and trying to get those collections at a little bit faster pace and not see, the days sales outstanding sitting too high. We kind of all know, for the most part, how, all of this, the life cycle of a project, and at the center of it always comes back to the WIP. I'm sure John will probably attest to this. I mean, sometimes the WIP gives a little more insight than a traditional P&L or balance sheet. Again, just a little more in depth on that financial life cycle. And don't worry, we're about to get into the product. I won't keep your lunch here. We're looking at slide decks. But I just wanted to give a quick overview again on how everything works. And with our newest feature, the project review, it helps standardize how we're doing those, right? And so we're not having data that's siloed everywhere that, someone is having to go chase someone down to get. With a standardized process all in one system, it really makes it completely turnkey. And so with that, we will get over into the product. So, okay, progress. There we go. So here is the WIP. John, I'm assuming you can see pretty good. Perfect. So here is the WIP, and it's got our main KPIs all up top. from total revised contract, earned revenues, backlog, over billings, under billings, etc. The one of the great features that I think is that we can actually then also look at this data pretty seamlessly based on market segments as well as based on project managers or both. We can click in and let's say contractors doing 15 million in education. We can click into education and now we can see that of that, Mr. Jones and Mrs. Shepard here are the main project managers of that. And then here's all of that data on a traditional WIP that we're used to seeing presented down below. We want to get out of that. We're back to out of education. Oops, sorry, let me clear here. There we go. So from there, all of these columns are very easily editable by the user. You don't, I mean, it's not create a new column in a spreadsheet. Not trying to get anyone fully off their spreadsheets. I understand, most construction firms love spreadsheets and CPAs love spreadsheets, but just this makes it a little bit easier. We can edit the columns really to, almost anything. I mean, from current month's costs, change orders, hours to complete, job status, job borrow. I mean, sky's almost the limit on what we can do to pull over and see. And the other really cool thing is via the workspace up here, we can actually show as well different formatted views. So if maybe the CFO likes a current view or likes this view, but maybe, the surety doesn't necessarily need to see some of, that granular of a detail on like say labor hours, we can have a different view. So that way, no one has to go and hunt and search for certain information. Any questions so far? John, you mind monitoring the questions just in case anything comes through? Just I can't see it on my end, but
Yeah, there's a couple questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
A question, I'm curious if there's an annual revenue figure that would be a good guideline or who might be too small for the software.
Yeah, I mean, I think revenue figure wise, I think where it becomes most useful is probably, someone above, call it 3 million in total top line. I think, maybe a little bit shy of that. Maybe not that we're cost prohibitive by any means, at least in my opinion, but at that point, I think, there is a minimum user that we have to charge for.
Yeah, I think from our experience, a lot of it is how good the data is. Maybe Bobby, you can talk just a little bit about like ProNovos sort of sits on top of your ERP accounting system, and the data needs to be in there in order for ProNovos to work correctly. We've had a couple instances where they were using like QuickBooks Desktop and they were not using it to its full capacity, and therefore ProNovos couldn't quite pull the information required to make it super beneficial. So then they got involved, started using QuickBooks appropriately, and then now they're able to put ProNovos on top of it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, when by no means trying to replace an ERP, we're on top of the ERP, and just accounting systems do great at aggregating all that data in. But maybe sometimes what they're a little bit lacking in is making that data visually appealing and to where it's more intuitive and insightful. And then to your other comment, yeah, there's actually another dashboard that if we have time we can get into called the Project Health, data health, which will actually show us all of the, call it key information points that are really important for us to track to make it accurate. And through the implementation process, our implementation manager will also go through and say, like project start dates, because we can filter via start dates or end dates, or like I said, through classes. So they'll also go through with you in that and making sure that all that key data that you really want to get the most out of the system, what really should be, should be in there.
And one quick question, can you filter in the ProNovos WIP by time period? Are you able to look at previous months?
Yep. So yeah, so we can filter from start date, end date, so we can set that start date, like I said before, and then if from here we can then look at the month time period. So if we wanted to look at, you know, May to May, if you wanted a trailing look, if you wanted a 6 month trailing, we could show that as well as if we go back to the edit columns, we can also look at previous year end. Look here. So we have all the previous month data, prior years. And so the short answer is yes. And really, that's really up to the user on what they want to set those dates at. Was that most of the questions so far?
Perfect. Yeah, carry on. If more come in,
Okay,
I'll holler at you.
perfect. Yeah, feel free to stop me. I'll get in the zone and keep trucking along otherwise. So let's talk about the review, and again, that being the key component. And like I said, we're seeing best in class contractors really trying to do this at the very least once a month, right? And not only just for reporting sake, whether it be to surety or to lending, but as well for keeping your pulse on the project and really trying to protect those profits that are becoming harder and harder earned. And so I went into this first project, Chrysler Building. It's going to give me a nice flyout. For the manager that's kind of managing all of the project reviews, it'll see when the next one is upcoming, and then out of all the projects, how much we have as a completion, and then as well as a quick look at how, based on the little green bar here, on how much of it has actually been completed. From there, it brings us into the what makes up the project reviews. And we found that breaking it down by financials, forecast, change orders, billings, and schedule were the main components. We saw those happening, with almost every client. And then a custom section, which was being used for safety. But really, it's custom. It can be anything, inspections, anything. So from here, you can even look at previous. So we can look at past project reviews. So that way, if there's something we want to go back and look at, we can definitely go back and look at that. And once we click down into it, this is now giving all the information that you would see in the job overview, which I can get to in a minute, but giving it all right here in one easy flyout screen of the main financial KPIs of the project. From here, anything with a blue dot, we can then dig deeper into it. For instance, on the margin tracker, we can go look into why that's the case, and on the projections, getting over back to the WIP to make those adjustments. When the project manager is saying, I agree with this, maybe I even have some issues, they click, sorry, reviewed, and there you go. It's, the green dot moved, the green bar moved a little bit, and now they can go into the next section. Next section being project forecast. How is it looking? So far, we've got, 3.3, almost 3.4 million in projected final costs with this much in cost to date. But we're over budget, right? We're this at this point, we probably already saw some, writing on the wall of overgoing costs, but now, it's out there. It also will then show us, click this. It'll show us the summary of those budget line items and where they're at, right? Shows us the total and then breaks down each budget line item. Once the project manager says, yep, good with that, reviewed. And then from here, showing those costs that were incurred since the last review. In this case, this would not be a best in class, January 31st being the last review, almost 6 months ago, but showing all those costs that were incurred during that time period since the last one. And then lastly, the forecasted adjustments. We've got root cause, just in choose which one here on these. This is the demo account, but when we make adjustments, and I'll get over to that, what I think one of the great features is we can tag root causes to why we made the adjustment. In this case, due to poor coordination, we were able, we lost, $1,800 just because of poor coordination on the rough plumbing. We can then track this information on a project basis as well as an organizational basis. And I'll get to that here in just a second. Same thing, just a lot of a lot of adjustments. It's going to track every single adjustment that's done over time. Go to the next section, change orders, right? So change orders are always, there's no project that usually has no change orders in it at all. So this is going to give us the, where we're at on change orders, budgeted, and then how those change orders looked on a profitability standpoint, as well as track those change orders from an approved, estimated, pending, rejected standpoint. Mind you, these are coming from the ERPs, from the accounting system. So these are not hard input. So whatever's getting input into the accounting system is pulling over. Usually that's a question I usually get. So I wanted to get in front of it.
Yeah, I was hoping you could address that it's not a duplication of efforts.
Right.
As the
Correct. Yeah,
PM's
no.
going through this, all the information is pulling, and so they're able to look at it through the ProNovos lens.
Right,
And
exactly.
not
I mean,
over here and here.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, tech stacks that, most project managers and executives are having to deal with already. And so our goal is to try to not add necessarily another one, but have one that, is pulling that information, um, you know, nightly. Usually goes off about 2 in the morning, and where it syncs and pulls all that information that was input the day before. So that when someone logs in at 8, information's already there ready for them to go. We do have a manual data sync availability to where if, for whatever reason, someone does need to see that data and wants to manually force the sync, that is available as well. This is tracking new change orders again on anything that happened between the last review and this time period. Again, just giving us that insight to what's kind of going on with the project. Go through it again. Big one, billings, right? So if this was the end of the month, right, or we're coming up almost on the 25th or 20th, so billing dates, are probably starting to pop up here pretty soon. And so we know that so far we have not done a billing. If this was, already at the end, then, it's just hey, there's no billing. If there wasn't a billing, if there was a billing or whatever it may be, we can input some notes as well on what's going on with that billing. The overbilling / underbillings as well, just giving us that tracking on, if we're underbilled, and hopefully we're not that case, but if we are underbilled, what maybe you have some reasons for why, or maybe you're waiting on a change order, so on and so forth. And then lastly, down here, what's most important, I think, for a lot of contractors is reducing, like I said, that day sales outstanding and tracking this, whether it's this has given us what's outstanding, what we've received, but like the most importantly, this 59 days on average of project payment. Again, if we there's probably an internal KPI that each firm has. We can track internally what the organization is doing as a whole, and is this on par with that? Is it maybe lagging? And if it's lagging, let's maybe dig into why we're lagging a little bit on that. Here's the invoices that are that are out there that are aging. What I do like about this as well is if the project manager were to go in and, like, we have this projected payment date of 5/30, and they now say, it's 5/30, but they've talked to maybe the accounting department and they want to now say that it's going to be, let's say, June 7th. We click June 7th, and now we have some root causes, tags also that we can add onto why that was the case. Maybe there's still, if we missed some paperwork, we didn't submit the right AIA documents. We can mark it as that, and then it's going to show us as well with this invoice what happened with those. Over time, we moved it, already once because we're waiting on approvals. This one was just an open-ended one. It's going to always show us why that's the case. The other great thing is once we save it, that automatically changes the date on the cash flow forecast over here. So that'll automatically, it's a 13-week cash flow that most firms are probably utilizing already, automatically update the cash flow statement and put it into that new date. So that way there's no static spreadsheet that now someone has to go and fill out. So again, I think it's just another really great way to try to automate things. Lastly, we're going to get into a schedule. this is very simple, just kind of giving us start date, finish date, completion, and where we're at, just very high level look, and then where we're at on our labor cost. For your clients that are, doing a lot of self-perform, maybe we can move that into crew days as well to say, okay, we budgeted this amount for the crew days, but we're projecting, higher than that, so on and so forth. And then looking at labor hours and cost, let me slide this over, labor hours and cost on a week over week basis to where we can kind of see how cost did week over week. And then breaking out that crew to track hours based on that crew. And then custom, like we said, it's custom is custom, right? We usually see safety, near misses, making sure we're doing our job talks, but it's a form that we can create, gets put in there. And then like I said, inspections is also another key one that we see a lot. Any questions on review, John, that came up, or any questions on your end? I don't know how familiar you are with the review model.
Yeah, one question came in that hopefully you can answer, and I can answer it from my experience. The question is basically, how do I determine when ProNovos will be useful based on how accurate their WIP is or how accurate their ERP system is? And what we have done as a firm is when we identify an issue or where someone could benefit from ProNovos, we usually set up a one-on-one with ProNovos. ProNovos will actually operate where they'll pull in information from that client, take a look at the information and what works and what doesn't work. And then ProNovos will actually be able to look at it and say, yeah, we could be useful for you all or beneficial for you all, or here's some things that are needed in order for the ProNovos features to work. And ProNovos can be customized to where maybe there's only like one or two features that they really want to see. Maybe they just want cash flow forecasting. And if your AR is in there correctly, or, ProNovos can do a myriad of things, but maybe there's only one or two things that are needed for that specialty sub. And Bobby, maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, no, and I know we're probably less than 10 minutes. I don't want to be respectful of everyone's time, so I'll start picking up. But no, definitely. I mean, our process is, we do a kind of a quick demo as well, one-on-one, to just kind of get the information and do we think this is a correct fit? And if we think that it is, and get more into some of the other modules, but and if we think that it is, what we also offer is a data sync demo, and to where you give us access to your ERP, we actually pull your data over and then do another demo with your data to actually see, it, like we talked about before, are all those data points that really need to be tracking, are they in there? And if they're not in there, just to give a plan of action on that. But like I said, to see, we can create this demo data to be a perfect world, and we all know construction and life is not perfect by any means. And so having those demo data syncs, and they usually only take about a week or so to get them turned around once you get us access, and then, I mean, I will preface it that your data is not going to be perfectly scrubbed clean. I mean, it's going to go through a kind of a small process of making sure what's in there, but at least where the client can see this is where we're at and this is what it looks like. Yeah, no, I mean, we love doing them and showing does this fit, or maybe it does not fit.
Cool. You might just carry on with the other two sections you were going to get to.
Yeah. So I do want to get to now I'm in the main project. I was kind of doing it in the background while you were answering your question, but some of the main project overview, and again, gives us those main KPIs now on the project itself. Obviously, this is not kind of someone's gone in there and made an adjustment, but this is not the kind of margin that we want to see, but it will track us, and like I said, anything with the blue arrow lets us get in, but lets us show that where we're at versus, or where we were supposed to be versus what we're at now. And like I was saying before, it's tracking all of those, root causes whenever there's an issue, to where we can go back and look at, was this an off chance type issue, or do we have organizational, a problem within the organization. We're in the projected final cost, which again is going to be how the project manager makes those projections. And so if we talk about, rough plumbing here and labor, and like I was saying, let's say that they want to make an adjustment and we go to, it's originally budgeted 40 hours. And then now we say it's 30 hours. Let's say that, that was wrong. Like I was saying, we can then say, we found some great production rates, click that, confirm it, and now the WIP has been updated, and then you can see where we're tracking all those root cause, tags, good and or bad. Let's say we went the other way, when we went to 50, same thing. I mean, maybe there was some missing material, couldn't get the job done fast enough, make that projection, and we're tracking that over time. I do want to get to some analytics. I know we're coming up on it, about 5 minutes, and so I just want to show one quick dashboard for the executive side of it. I think it's really beneficial to show again how the organization or the firm is doing as a whole, and make it, most ERPs share they have these executive dashboards, but I think ours are a little more intuitive, a little more in depth, and gives them that information a little bit better. It's like my computer wants to go to lunch. There we go. And so again, the main, information that most executives want to kind of track: gross profit, where we're at in backlog, AR, retention, where we're at here. And then, like I was telling before, the DSOs and where we're at on days sales outstanding, and even payroll. Now, these are customizable. So if, let's say you don't want to see payroll, or maybe you're going to give access, we can't adjust user access, but let's say for whatever reason, don't want to see payroll, we can kind of get rid of that. We can even break it down on the payroll by trade. Let's say you're a self-perform shop that has a bunch of different trades. We could track it by different levels. And then project health. And so if we go by revised profit margin, this gives that overview of, okay, is everything tracking what we want to see? And then, oh no, let's go see who's managing Davis Library, and why are we at a, here it is right here. Why are we at such a loss, and kind of let us get into, what's going on here on this project. We are at about, looks like 3 minutes left. Is that what you got?
Yes, sir. And no questions. So if you just want to plow through, and I think, and Bobby and I can talk about this right at the very end, but I think the best thing to do is kind of schedule a one-on-one. We really just wanted to put this out there. We've hosted a couple of these in the past, and so people are familiar with it. But if you're interested, Bobby, are you going to release your information at the end, or my information is on the HoganTaylor website as well if you want to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to set up a meeting.
It should be there. I'll leave there's I think a link, or on the slideshow where it kind of shows. I'll leave it up kind of, and I'll pull it up here in a minute. But this again just shows all of those analytics that are available. And if there's something that they want, custom, they can kind of create their own. And if they think that they, that, hey, I really want ProNovos to kind of create a custom link right there where they can send it over to us. This is that one I was speaking to, like I said, where it was talking about showing the root causes as an organization, why they happen, so on and so forth. But I think you're right. I think there's so much. This is so powerful. It's sometimes just a lot better to get a one-on-one and kind of navigate it the way that you see fit. I'm going to stop share, or I'm going to actually go back to the slideshow. Like I said, I want to be cognizant of everyone's time. I know it's lunchtime, so there is the link. Should be available, and I don't know if there's any other questions. John, if you got any other questions that popped up or not.
I don't see any, Bobby. Thank you so much for doing this. And like I said, we've worked with ProNovos across the last 3 years, and there's a couple of of my clients that have been very beneficial. That ProNovos has really kind of streamlined their job review process, and they work well with the foundation software, some of the other kind of significant softwares in the construction space. So if you're a construction company that's running Procore or Foundation, if you want a one-on-one to see, we can get into ProNovos can get into pricing. What we have seen is it is very affordable for the amount of information that you get. And when you really factor in the time savings of having your PMs and everybody looking at the same data, when you're having those job reviews, we found just a lot of job fade not necessarily go away, because there's always extenuating circumstances that happen, but it brings it to light quicker. And that lets everybody get on the same page to see how they need to attack that job with manpower, deliveries, invoicing, change orders. And so it's been very beneficial. We hope you enjoyed the presentation. And like I said, we're always here at HoganTaylor to answer any questions you might have. And thanks again to Bobby and ProNovos for doing this.
I appreciate it. I mean, I think you said everything there. And like I said, if anyone wants to see more, and I definitely think that we can get, more in depth on myriad of things. So thanks, John.
Have a great day.
All right.